Hi guys, my name is Tom, and in this video I'm going to talk about the differences of editing in DaVinci Resolve and Adobe Premiere. Why I'm doing this video is because ever since I did my video about me switching from Premiere, I've been a long time Adobe Premiere user and After Effects and all that stuff, and I switched to DaVinci Resolve last year. I've been getting a lot of questions or just comments, people telling me that, oh, you should give Premiere a chance, it's changed a lot and all that stuff. Some people are just trying to tell me that, Premiere has a lot more better features. And then some people are agreeing with me that they prefer DaVinci Resolve. Now, if you watch my previous video where I talk about me switching, which you can see that video by following the link in the description of this video, then you'll see that my reasons weren't so much about the features of the program. It was more about the stability. It was one thing. There were some performance issues I had with Premiere. But really the main thing was actually the subscription model and some of those other things. Anyways, check out that video. But in this one, I'm going to kind of just show you guys how both these programs perform on my machine, which is, I guess now it's a couple years old. It's kind of it's not a bad machine. It's not the latest top of the line. If you guys want to find out the exact specs, again, I'll post them in the description, or go to my website, even better, tomantosfilms.com, and over there I'll post all the information about the computer that I'm using. But anyways, let's jump right in and see the editing differences between Adobe Premiere and DaVinci Resolve. By the way, guys, this video is sponsored by Skillshare, so if you guys want to step up maybe your video editing skills, both in Premiere, Resolve, maybe even Final Cut Pro, you guys can learn the basics and all the way up to some really cool advanced techniques, all on Skillshare. So if you want to learn about filmmaking, good cinematography, or even After Effects and things like that, you can find all of that and a lot more on Skillshare. With the premium membership, you will get unlimited access, so you can join all of their classes and communities and kind of achieve the goals that are right for you. And also, most importantly, they're very affordable. If you get the annual subscription, it's actually less than $10 a month. So join more than 7 million creators learning with Skillshare already. Just follow the links in the description of my video to get first 2 months free. So the first test I'm going to do in Premiere is just see how fast it is importing footage. So here I'm going to just import these 9 clips, and I've never imported this into Premiere, so you're going to see what happens. So I'm importing it. This is how long it takes. And as you can see, it's imported, but it still has to go and generate what's up here. It says generating peak files. So it has to do that for each file. So you can see, I can start playing it, but first of all, the waveform sometimes will not be visible, like if I put it into a timeline. See, if a peak file has not been created for a certain file, then you see there, you cannot see the waveform. Now, as you can see, it appeared there. It's very small, but you can see it now. And also, it does slow down your computer when it's doing that. So I usually, when I have like a lot of files, I just import it all into Premiere, and then I kind of leave it and let it go. Because as you can see, it's still going, and now it's finished. Okay, so I would say now it's done importing. Next thing I want to see in Premiere is kind of how easy it is to import files. So I have various files in kind of a just folder structure, and I would like to just basically import it all of those folders and have it all duplicated here in Premiere. It just makes it easier, right? So again, I'm going to import. And you see here I have basically this footage folder. Inside of that I have some files, and then I have what's called BTS, behind the scenes folder. So I want to also import that. So here I'm just gonna basically, I want to right click on this, and actually no, in Premiere you go down here and you click import folder. We'll see what happens. Just importing all of it. Okay, again generating peak file, but then let's look at this. So it imported the files in the main folder, but it did not import, as you can see, the BTS folder that was in there. Meaning I have to again click, go in here, click separately basically for each folder, and click import folder. Then it imports it, and then I can, for example, move it back into whatever folder structure I want. In DaVinci Resolve, what I like is when you're importing, for example, again, like a whole directory structure, like I have here on my little here project, I can just right click up here and go add folder and subfolders into media pool and create the bins. So basically it's going to duplicate exactly what we have here. Now when you import it though, one thing, and that's something maybe I don't like about Resolve, is that your project, you right away have to decide on your resolution and frame rate for your project. You can have multiple timelines, but they all have to have the same project frame rate and resolution, which is kind of a bummer, as I'll show you. So in this case, I'm going to go don't change. And as you can see here, it imported all the clips. Very cool. Everything's in here, and my directory structure is copied and everything. So that makes importing footage really easy. And also there's nothing happening here like in the background that slows down the machine. I can right away start editing with this, which again, I find in Premiere, it does that whole generating peak thing, whatever, for the audio files. And it's, yeah, it's just kind of weird. So in here, I can right away just start editing this footage. Alright, so now in Premiere I've imported various types of footage, and I'm going to just kind of try editing each one of these and see how it goes. So first we'll start with the most typical, sort of like this H.264 that comes off of a lot of these mirrorless cameras these days, like Sony A7S, even, you know, certain Canon cameras, Panasonic, but this one happens to be from the Sony A6500. So I'm going to create a new timeline, and here's the footage, and I'm going to just basically take a few of these clips here. It's showing me right away the meters, and you'll notice one thing I like about Premiere is that whenever you click basically any of the footage and you drag it onto this basically new icon, basically new item icon, then it will create automatically for you a timeline that takes the name of that file and the exact same frame rate and everything, playing it back in HD in full resolution, but 120 frames per second. Now, if I start editing this, so I'm just going to make some mumbo jumbo kind of edits. This, whatever, just very random. Just overall, the general kind of editing workflow in Premiere, I like that. It's pretty fast and it's intuitive. And this is how it looks now. So again, HD footage, H.264, so it is heavily compressed, but 120 frames per second, it plays back no problem here. So in Resolve, I'm going to again edit the same clips from the Sony A6500. Drag and drop them. Now you'll notice it creates a timeline here for me also. But the timeline is, the settings are not based on the clips. So I can also, you can see, I can just drag the clips and it creates a timeline. If you go here to the metadata, you can see this is 24 frames per second at UHD resolution. And, you know, as you notice, our clips from the Sony 6500 are 119, whatever, 0.888, basically 120 frames per second and at 1080p. So it's, you know, it's able to play it in this timeline. It's basically upscaling it and everything. We're watching this, by the way, in full resolution. But the problem is that in Premiere, you can basically create automatically timelines that are exactly copy the settings of your native footage, whereas in Resolve you kind of have to go here, go to project settings, and you have to individually adjust it for basically for each timeline that you create. Now, by the way, these are global settings, so what I mean is once you change this, it changes it for all your timelines actually. So right now I'm gonna set this to 1080. I'm going to set it here to 119.88. But you're going to notice something, and that's basically, I'll click save. And here you notice what's happening. It's creating this weird kind of skipping, and that's because basically our playback frame rate doesn't align. It's way faster than the actual basically project timeline. So if I go to here again, project settings, you'll notice here this thing pretty much has to be the same as your timeline frame rate. Well, when we created the project, that's when you kind of have to decide on your project frame rate, because you cannot change that later. And that's one thing I wish you could do. First of all, you could change it later, but you could, so that you could also have multiple timelines in Resolve with different resolutions and different frame rates, which unfortunately right now you can't have. So timeline frame rate, see, is like at 24, so I pretty much can't do anything other than change the resolution. But as you can see, playing back the these clips now in 1080, even though it's technically 120 frames per second, but it's in a 24 frames per second timeline. I mean, it's playing, it's doing the frame reordering, no problems, and yeah, the clip looks good. So I'm gonna cut this up quickly here. And again, as you can see, it's playing back nice and smooth, the same as it did in Premiere. Now this is again fairly simple footage. So next here we have the red files. So these are red files that are 4K red raw. And again, I'm gonna just drag it and create a timeline. It's in its native resolution. And as you can see here in the info panel, you can see 24 frames per second, 4K or UHD resolution, and these are red raw files. Please don't judge my work by this. Again, this is just raw footage I imported, and it's basically not edited. I'm just randomly making random cuts, so you're gonna see some really probably weird things here. So playing it back is no issues at all. Jumping back and forth on the timeline again is no issues. So it all looks good to me here. Now in Resolve, I'm going to play back and edit the red raw files. And again, I'm just going to be trimming these shots here quickly, so maybe I'll skip this and just show you guys my amazing finish edit. So here's how it looks, playing back the red raw 4K files. So now let's look at some GoPro footage. This is GoPro footage shot in 4K. And again, I'm going to just create quickly a timeline with its native frame and resolution. And let's watch this quick edit. Again, this is 4K, 24 frames per second GoPro footage, so it's pretty heavily compressed. And as you can see, it has there's really no problems that I'm seeing in its decoding capability. And again, noticing that just jumping between like the different clips back and forth on the timeline, there is no issues. Plays back nicely, it loads the footage right away. And in Resolve, again, we're going to look at the same clips here. This is from the GoPro. And as you can see, again, playing back full resolution, UHD or 4K, 24 frames per second, plays it back normally. One thing I do like about the way that things are done in Resolve is that you get a lot more kind of real-time feedback. Like you see, I can leave this playing in play mode, and I can now jump around on the timeline, and it will still keep on playing from this moment that I jump to. Another thing I like is, for example, when I take my cutting tool, you can see as I'm going over the clips, it actually previews it for me, so I can see it here. You know, basically where I'm about to make that cut in that clip. So as I just basically scroll, I'm not pressing anything, I'm just scrolling with my cutting tool here over the clips, it shows me that. Another thing you notice is you see these little like red lines here in these clips. These are the clips right now that I edited. These red lines there, first of all, when it's highlighted like this in red and then it shows you these red lines, that means this clip is being used in your project, and these red spots is which parts of that clip are being used. So that's kind of a good little visual reference, especially helpful when you have a lot of clips maybe that are very similar and you're not sure would have you used this moment or not. Now I'll tell you, Premiere also has a lot of cool little quirks and features, and that's something that I'll find is that sometimes people get into arguing about, oh, I like this little feature in Premiere, or and somebody else will say, well, I like this in Resolve. I'll tell you, all of these programs, the same thing with Final Cut, they all have their own cool little features. And then again, sometimes one person might love that feature, another person might hate it, and it really just comes down to preference. Yeah, and there's really I wouldn't say that any of these specific features really are going to make or break these programs. Now again, back in Premiere, I'm going to test out one more type of video files, which these are Apple ProRes files. And this is how it looks when I'm playing it back now. So some fast editing. And as you can see it again, didn't skip a beat. Alright, so now I'm going to go into color module and let's add some color grading effects to these clips and see basically how it looks. I'm not going to play around with it too much. I'm just going to apply whatever like random lookup table here, just kind of adjust, you know, do some minor like exposure kind of adjustments and things like that. And I'm just going to copy the same basically settings to all the other clips. So keep in mind, it might look horrible, but anyways, this is just to see how it processes these color grading effects. And let's play it back. So it's playing Apple ProRes footage nice and smooth. Yep, even with the scopes. Wow, Premiere has really surprised me. Because last time I used Premiere, it was, let's just say this wasn't a good experience. I could edit, but once I added the color grading and stuff, then it did not work very well. Now I'm going to do the same thing again, but to the red raw footage. As you can see, the color grading looks horrible, so ignore that. And the last set of clips we're gonna apply the effect to is from the Sony a6500 4K footage. Wow, Premiere! I am finally pleasantly surprised. So yeah, definitely the latest version seems to have fixed a lot of these slowdown issues and bugs I had before. And now in Resolve, we're gonna play back the same Apple ProRes files. And as you can see, it's playing back nicely. There's really no problems. And this is something I've overall experienced in Resolve. I've never had really problems with it kind of playing back the footage, as long as obviously it's all stored on good hard drives and locally, or if it's over a network, it's over a fast network. So now also let me apply a similar kind of quick color grading to these clips, but here in Resolve. I got my lookup tables. I'm just going to apply again something very random. And now I'm just going to apply it to all these other clips. Copying it is very easy, as you can see, like that. And as you can see, it plays it back without any issues whatsoever, even with all those color grading effects applied. Same as Premiere. Now this is something again that I've never really had problems in Resolve with, which is applying any kind of color grading and then being able to preview it in real time. So again, I'm going to apply the same color grade here to our red raw footage, but now in Resolve. And as you can see, it plays it back without any issues. So again, the same thing as we saw in Premiere. Now, what if I wanted to basically apply effects to some of these shots? So I mean, you can do some basic effects obviously in Premiere, but really you can do some really cool stuff in After Effects. But you have to bring it to After Effects. Now you can go here, you can click on any of these clips and go replace with After Effects composition. And what that's going to do is basically it's going to load up After Effects for you. It's going to start up. So once you are in After Effects, it's going to basically bring in the footage for you right away. So trim it. So that is really nice. It even brings any kind of effects that you apply to it. So in this case, we have the Lumetri effect, so we can turn it off. And then here you can do the effects. Now, whatever you do here, if for example, let's say whatever, apply another effect, something very random, let's say this CC toner. Once I apply this, if I save this, basically After Effects project, and I close it, it should automatically update in Premiere. So whatever basically you do in After Effects, it automatically updates here in Premiere. And as you can see, oh, now it starts kind of slowing down. See, when it has the color grading and the effects done in Premiere, it's no problem. But because these other effects here are applied in After Effects, which is a separate application, it basically, I guess it sometimes has problems playing it back. So just keep that in mind. Now, obviously, if you do some really complicated effects, that's the same in every program. You're pretty much not going to be able to ever play it back in real time. Now in Resolve, if you wanted to do effects, apply them, it's even easier, like I said, because it's right here built into the program. You just jump into Fusion, just kind of like After Effects. Again, it's node-based, the same thing as the color module in Resolve, which I find is more powerful. So you can do all your advanced compositing, green screen, all that stuff. You can do it here. And it's right in the same application. So you just literally jump back to edit. You can change the edit if you want to, jump back to Fusion, do your effects. So that's kind of cool. One thing actually that I really do like also in Resolve is that not only is it the same, like I said, for the color grading, you have a dedicated color grading kind of an application within Resolve, but you have Fairlight, which is kind of like this dedicated audio editing. Now, can you do audio editing in Premiere? Of course you can. You can do it right there. But for some of these really more advanced kind of audio effects, or if you want to load in sort of, for example, VST plugins or things like that, for that, you're going to have to use Adobe Audition. Again, another great program, and it's again dynamically linked, so you can go between the two. But I still find it's just faster, more intuitive to do it here. And here I can kind of preview my, my clips. I can see, for example, how I want the audio to be. For example, here I can look at the clips here. I can look at I have a scroller here with the frame rates. And as I'm scrolling, everything's kind of based here, so I can see it in real time, see the waveform, see what's happening. It's just, I don't know, I find that having these really advanced kind of audio effects tools built right into your editing application, it just makes it that much faster and easier for you to really kind of polish off and do good sound mix. in the end. So again, one of those features that I like. Some people maybe won't care about it as much. I think that's one of the winning features of the DaVinci Resolve. So as you guys could see, I was actually pleasantly surprised, to be honest. I did not know really how Premiere is going to perform. Like I said, the last time I used it was in 2018, and I've had some issues with Premiere. Most notably, actually, was just not even the performance issues. Sometimes it would slow down here and there, especially when dealing with like Apple ProRes footage. But the biggest issues I had back in the day was crashing, which I did not crash right now. Now, I only did this for like the last 2 hours, basically, I've been using the machine. So it did not crash. Now, as far as the performance itself, as you can see, both of them can perform well, given that, again, you have a decent or reasonable video editing machine. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know what else you want me to talk about. And also let me know about your experience of using different programs. Maybe also those of you who have experience editing in Final Cut Pro, which I myself am not much of a Final Cut Pro user. Anyways, once again, for more info, check out my website. There you can subscribe to my newsletter, tomantosfilms.com. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.